Hi there. I recently spent a few months listening to the AF3 Premium S turntable. I've got a very good perspective on the entire Air Force line of turntables from TechDAS because I've reviewed every single one of them, starting with the Air Force One a few years ago. That was their top of the line turntable, which at that point I think was about $80,000 or $90,000. Now it's considerably more expensive than that, but it's also been upgraded to the premium version, which I also reviewed at some point. But before I did the premium Air Force One Premium, I did the Air Force Two, which I really liked. It was lower in price. It had a more industrial kind of look, less refined looking, but I liked that look. But they took it out of the line for whatever reason, and I heard it might come back, but for now it's not there. So right now there's an Air Force One Premium, there's an Air Force 3 Premium S, which we're going to talk about in a minute. There's an Air Force 5. There's no Air Force 4 because 4 is a unlucky number in Japan. So if you ever play golf in Japan and the foursome behind you hits into you, they're more likely to yell 5. It's a bad joke. And then, of course, the top of the line Air Force Zero, the $500,000 plus Air Force Zero, which I reviewed a couple of years ago. And that was the tour de force design, the final statement of Mr. Hideki Nishikawa, who started TechDAS and also owns Stella Distribution in Japan that distributes a whole bunch of products made around the world. And I'm happy to say I got to meet Mr. Nishikawa and spend some time with him in America and in Japan. And he was quite the guy. Very intense and fun to hang around with. And I got to play records at the Stella Distribution room at the Tokyo Audio Fair. And sorry to see him go. He passed away this past year. Anyway, moving on. So I've heard all the TechDAS turntables. I've got a good handle on the whole lineup. And the Air Force 3 Premium S is the sweet spot in the line. It's about $45,000. You'll get the exact price in a minute. And so that's, it's a lot of money, but you get most of what the company's products do. You get a really heavy 50-pound gunmetal platter. You get the air suspension, the air-bearing platter drive. You get the computer that controls the motor. You get a really quiet pump for the air bearing, and you get vacuum hold down, as you'll see. So let's have a look at the Air Force 3 Premium S turntable, and then you'll get to hear it. You'll get to hear the Air Force 3 Premium S versus the OMA K3, which is my reference turntable, which is considerably more expensive, which is a direct drive turntable. In both cases, you're going to hear the same tone arm, which is the SAT CF1-12, and the same cartridge, which is the Lyra Atlas Lambda SL. And the only difference is the turntable. Otherwise, it's the same. Everything's the same, including the CH Precision phono preamp. So that video has been posted on YouTube, and some people heard it and go, well, something else is wrong because they sound very different. What else did you do? You changed something else? No, nothing else changed. The only difference was the turntable. And finally, people who were skeptical got to hear that turntables make not a moderate difference, but make a huge difference. And which people preferred was interesting. Some people liked the K3 better. Some people liked the TechDAS better. It's all a matter of what you're acclimated to, what you like, what your tastes are. Anyway, let's watch the video, and then you'll get to hear both turntables play back the same record and decide for yourself which you like better, okay? There's a reason why manufacturers always put a little proviso, or proviso, however it's pronounced, in their instruction manual, saying they reserve the right to change something in a running order as they're manufacturing. And this is an example of that. So this is the Air Force 3 Premium, and it's a big step up from the original Air Force 3 in that the platter is way heavier. It's a much heavier platter. And the fit and finish and the cosmetic finish on this turntable is as good as it was before. It is far superior on this. It's a much more showy piece, and this is a gunmetal platter that has a nice color to it that complements well with the dark color of the rest of the chassis. And the thing you should know about this turntable, of course, is that it has a vacuum hold down, and it also has a vacuum air bearing, not vacuum, it has an air bearing platter. So the platter floats on a cushion of air on a glass plate. And you'd think, well, that's a great idea because there's no friction that way and it spins cleanly. But there's a problem with that. And the problem is, if the platter can just keep spinning on its own and the belt isn't correctly set up, the platter can sort of run away with itself and create speed issues. So what TechDAS has done here with this turntable is, first of all, they have a non-flexible belt. And I'm going to try to get this top off of here and show you what goes on. Yeah. So it's a non-flexible belt, so it can't vibrate like rubber would vibrate. And a non-flexible belt has the problem of how do you get it around the pulley. So there's a very sophisticated computerized program built into this when you first set it up, where you adjust the tension of the belt by loosening this bolt, right, this little screw right here, and you pull it out and tighten it when you think it's at the approximately correct tightness, and then you start it up and it will tell you whether it's too tight or too loose. So I'll show you. I'll start it up at 33. And it's telling us to wait. Now it appears to be, now it's locked in at 33 1/3, and you're ready to play records. So that's how that works. So I'm going to stop it now. And if it doesn't get up to speed quickly enough, you either have to increase the amount of tension here or decrease the amount of tension. Once you have it locked into the correct tension, it doesn't really have to be set ever again or for a very, very long time. You can have up to 3 tone arms on this at once. It gets kind of crowded, and I really don't recommend that, but some people like to do that. So I've got the SAT CF1-12 on here now. That's what I used for this review. And this particular model has a special set of feet that you can get as an option that kind of is a suspended rubberized kind of footers in case you have issues with footfalls and the like in your listening environment. So there's really not much more I can say about this turntable, except that here is the pump and power supply all in one. It's absolutely silent. It's in the room. You don't hear it when it's on. That's how quiet it is. It's on right now, and I don't think you're going to be able to hear it. That's why the platter can spin while it's on. All right, that is the Air Force 3 Premium. It's not inexpensive, but it's the kind of turntable that once you get it, you're going to keep it for a very, very long time. I've got a record on here, and I'm going to start it. I'm hitting the vacuum suction, and almost instantaneously the record is sucked down to the platter. Now it's getting up to speed. Obviously you're not going to use this turntable at a disco because it's not going to start up fast enough for you, but now it's locked in place. What I want to show you is don't try that on too many turntables where you can bang on the record while it's playing and hear nothing. You hear nothing through the speakers. That's one of the advantages of vacuum hold down.
So this is the Air Force 3 Premium S model. The S is indicated by these feet. These feet are a soft, almost a gel-like material that allow for some isolation for the turntable. These feet are also available for the premium, standard premium model and the original Air Force 3. So all of these things are modular and upgradable.
Now, when did the original Air Force 3 come out? Because I've lost track of that.
Approximately 2015.
All right. And the platter at that point was made out of...
It was an aluminum platter weighing just a few pounds. This one is about 5 times the weight.
This is like 25?
More like 50.
50 kilograms, 50 pounds?
50 pounds, yeah. This is a gunmetal material, which is an alloy of a number of materials that are proprietary for
and they've also
TechDAS.
changed the finish of this is a lot more attractive. It's a lot less plebeian looking.
The original Air Force 3 was anodized aluminum, and this is a high gloss black lacquer finish. It should be noted that the original units were assembled using multiple parts, and this is from a billet. This is machined from a billet.
So you got more like the construction rigidity and
yes.
Yeah.
And the feet are adjustable in height so that you can level it on whatever surface. The feet for the turntable, the feet for the motor. It's obviously a belt drive system. Everything that TechDAS makes is belt drive, from the Air Force 5 Premium all the way up to the Air Force 0, which you had for review some years ago, and the Air Force 2. Everything is belt driven.
And in the part that I talked about, in my part of the video, I talked about this being a stiff belt, and you set the tension of the belt very carefully because we'll show when you take the platter off, we'll show the glass surface, and it's an air bearing, and so it could run away with itself if it wasn't well controlled. So they did a very good job of making sure that this stiff belt and this motor are just the right tension, so it doesn't run away with itself and keeps very good speed stability.
So it's a significant amount of mass. You're riding on an air bearing, a few microns of air, and then you have vacuum hold down, which is common to all the TechDAS models, and going all the way back to Mr. Nishikawa's time with Microseki back in the day.
And so you can have how many arms on this? 3 or 4?
You can have 4 arms on this.
Which is insane, because how do you...
Yes. Yeah. We do need to give you a little bit of guidance on what arms you use so that you don't have a conflict, because in this case we're using a 12, and so there can be some conflicts, but we can help guide the customer with the dealer's assistance on what to place where so that you don't have any conflict. But it will support, you just remove these, and back here you can see a threaded nut goes on top with a conical washer to lock it in place, and it's really easy for setup. And
TechDAS will supply at extra cost the arm board.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have many different arm boards, various brands, and this coming year we'll have a new TechDAS arm coming out.
Yes,
so that's very exciting.
Yeah. And now, this is the power supply and the compressor built into it. It's very quiet. You don't.
Correct.
It can be this close and you don't hear it at all.
Yes, you never hear anything from their pumps and motor drives. This also has in the latest version this kind of gel-like material on the bottom of these with these feet, and so this isolates the pump further so that it's not transmitting energy into the stand that it's placed on or the tabletop, and not making a feedback loop with the system.
And this table without arm in the United States is 40,000, 42?
44,500.
44,500.
Yeah. The non-S version with the standard feet is 42,500.
All right. And this is one of these turntables where you buy this and you're pretty much done with turntables unless you want to get crazy.
A lot of people think this is the best balance. This is by far the #1 selling product.
It's the sweet spot
it is.
in the line.
Yes.
Say. All right. Okay. Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for taking the time to
sure.
to let us bring it and have a go at it.
And of course, it's worked perfectly since I had it here.
That's great.
And that's always good. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so this is the glass platter that the main platter rides on when the air is applied to the bearing, and so it's very smooth, and there's no friction there whatsoever.
The platter actually locks onto this spindle, and then this pops up a fraction of this to lift the over 50-pound platter that's gunmetal, and it rides on.
Very cool, and it reflects well on the Beatles poster above. Okay. All right, great. I think we've covered the entire turntable, and did we show the motor? So there's the motor, and I believe I showed this in my side of the video where this knurled screw unlocks, and that's how you set the distance between the turntable itself and the pulley.
For the tension, yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Just a brief interruption, esteemed viewers. As you may know, I'm Tom Martin, Chief Content Officer of The Absolute Sound. We have a new product. It's on the Substack platform, and we're going to do some interesting things with Substack. First of which is reader questions and answers. Each Monday, readers will submit questions. We'll pick the most interesting ones, and we'll answer the questions on Friday. We'll also have early access to articles and special blogs that don't appear anywhere else. We hope you'll join us. It's only a cost of a cup of coffee per month. Just check on the screen or in the show notes below. Thanks, and now back to the show.
So often you hear people say, all turntables pretty much sound the same if they spin at the right speed. The real differences are in the phono cartridge, or the arm, or the phono preamp. Well, what you're going to hear now is the same cartridge, an Atlas Lambda SL, and the same tone arm, which is the SAT CF1-12, and the same phono preamp, which is the CH Precision P10. Top quality gear, all on two different turntables, the Air Force 3 Premium and the OMA K3. Two expensive and very fine turntables. One is belt drive, one is direct drive. And it's not going to be a double blind test because you don't need that. And you tell me whether you hear a difference. And you're going to hear this. This is a 1977 recording on the East Wind record label, which was a Japanese audiophile record label. And they came to New York, and they went to the Village Vanguard, and they recorded the Great Trio. So, often people say, oh, it's a great trio, or it's the ultimate trio. This is Ron Carter, Hank Jones, and Tony Williams. Pretty good trio. Definitely a great trio. And you're going to hear the track Moose the Mooch, which is a Charlie Parker tune. And you'll hear it twice. Everything's the same except for the turntable. You tell me what you hear. And I'm sure after you hear both versions, next time someone tells you all turntables sound pretty much the same, send them this video, okay? All right.
you.